Hello, hello, hello. This is SciFi Talks. In this episode, we are excited to have a very special guest with us, an academician turned entrepreneur, Carmen Kivisild. She is founder and CEO of a young, innovative tech bio company, Elnora AI, which is developing a platform for creating antiviral drugs. We are thrilled to welcome Dr. Carmen to SciFi Talks to discuss her incredible startup journey. Welcome, Dr. Carmen.
Well, Carmen, so how do you define yourself?
So I'm ex-scientist myself. I'm also a mom of two. I'm wife. I'm a CEO of Elnora. I'm a sister. So I'm a friend. So I have actually a lot of different roles that I use to define me as a human being, as a person. It's not only that I wear the CEO hat as also a co-founder hat, but there's more in life than just my startup.
You were an academician. You were an academician before. Now you are into the startup. So you were safe in the academia, but why did you choose this? Maybe the unsafe space when you were already safe there.
No, it's opposite. Absolutely. Okay. So in academia, nothing is safe and set in stone. So I went to academia and I became a scientist because I wanted to have real impact on people's lives. So when I was a young girl, I had this dream in my head that one day I'm gonna develop a new drug that will save millions of people's lives, and my name is written in some sort of buildings, and people go and study my name from history books and so on. But after 12 years in academia, I had this moment when I realized that this is never gonna happen if I continue on this path. And why is because there is tremendous gap between all this amazing science and discoveries that are made in academia and real life solutions, patients getting the treatments that they really deserve. So because I saw how big is this gap, I decided to leave academia and become a bridge myself, basically. So in academia, it's actually really opposite you have a very, in that sense, you have a very clear career path. You do your bachelor, master's, PhD, postdoc, you become a PI and so on. So it may sound really simple, but in real life, it's extremely competitive. It is so hard to progress from one thing to another thing, and only very, 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 very few people actually make it to the professor level. So I don't know. I haven't really looked at the stats. Maybe you have better chances maybe I don't know which one is better. Like your chances of becoming a PI or the professor, or your chances of becoming a successful startup founder. So in my mind, they're quite risky both.
So your academic background was a wet lab biologist, but yes. As a wet lab biologist, wasn't it easier for you to go into the wet lab based startup? But this is an AI startup, maybe the SaaS startups, which is completely different. How do you find it? Is it easy, or was it very difficult to start this startup? How was the journey?
It was actually, it was and it is difficult still. So for all my life, how I've been trained is to do one thing, like that you go to the lab, you do your experiments, and that's basically it. Always there's a lot of thinking that you also have to do, and that's why I love academia, and I love the structure there, in that sense that okay, if you're a bachelor student, then you're not really much encouraged to think, but the further you go in that career ladder, the more you're encouraged to actually really start thinking about your experiments and start planning and so on. So but it's still far from being a CEO and co-founder of a startup where you have to wear so many different hats. So what I did is that while I was still doing the postdoc, I took this course organized by Wilby, and the name of the course is Become Science Founder. And that's what they literally do. They take scientists behind their bench and turn them into founders. So I've been actively training myself on other subjects, not just to be excellent in doing wet lab experiments, but also I try to be, become better and better in doing everything else around these projects, including business sides and what to do with investors and so on. So it's been hard to change the hats all the time, but that's what you have to do. That's it.
What do you think are the major skills that you should get to run a startup? So what skills were you lacking, and what skills are very needed to run this kind of startup, do you think?
First I start actually, what did I gain? What kind of skills I gained from PhD and postdoc and being a researcher is researchers are so used to it no, and so used to the critical feedback, and so used to it failing 24/7. So I remember a time when I did this, when I started my master's, and one of my experiments failed, and I called my mom and I said, "Mommy, this experiment didn't work," and I was literally crying, but it just, I've just feel my skin is so tough now that you can throw me 100 no's, you can throw me 1,000 no's, and I still see the vision, and I still see what is the idea. And it's not only me, but it's also other scientists with years of getting this extremely critical feedback 24/7 has really trained me a lot. But what is problem? What I still lack, and I need more further training, obviously, which comes with experience, is all this business side. Things in academia actually run quite slow, and you don't really interact with many others. Like, you have collaboration partners, other universities, other research groups that you collaborate with. So I got the sense of how it looks like, of building relationships and getting something out of others, and also running teams. So I had a team. I worked in a team of 4, and that was a lead of my project. So I got like a sense of it, but what I need more is how business is being done, and what actually really matters, and how much, I'm a very extrovert, so networking comes very easy to me. But even one thing is to get get the seat behind the table, but another thing is actually make your voice being heard. And that's what I struggle with most, that people look at me and think that, oh, you're just such a lovely, sweet person. But then from there, I need to move into that, you're actually a serious business person who can run $1 billion company. So I want people to take me more seriously, and that's being very hard.
Okay, so let's enter into the startup stuff now. So what is Elnora AI, and in which stage it is, and what are you doing currently at this startup?
Yeah. So what we do is that we translate the discoveries made in academic labs, people who work in universities and then biosciences areas, into new potential drug targets. So about 90% of all drugs fail in clinical trials. And there are many different reasons why that happened. But basically, what's the current scenario is that you spend 10 plus years, $2.5 billion, and then at the end you face this 90% of failure rate, and you're like, yeah, that never was meant to work. And that's true for big pharma, for biotech companies. It doesn't matter. You can say that, maybe, I don't know, Pfizer has different scenario. No, they all have the same issue. And as I said, there are many different reasons for that, but one of the reasons is that your initial idea, the hypothesis that you had about this protein X being very important for that particular disease was just simply wrong. So it doesn't matter how good is your chemistry part, or how good is your small molecule, or how good are how well did you design your clinical trials, if this protein has nothing to do with that particular disease. And at the moment, people are making those decisions based on scientific literature. But scientific literature is highly biased. And, you can only publish sexy stuff. You can only publish, you have basically only way of getting grant money is to investigate the same old drug targets again and again because they're hot, and so on. So we can't really publish negative results. and there's no pure data. Everything is always interpreted as a story, and you just add so many things up from top of your head to these scenarios that you're reading. So what we do is now we're building a platform for academic researchers to plan their experiments, conduct experiments, and share the data with the rest of the world. And those are experiments that can fail in a lab, or can be successful. It really doesn't really matter. Like we take all details around the experiments, and their outcome is not so important. Rather, it's like how those experiments are being done, and from that information that is machine learning readable, without the story, without the human interpretation, basically black box data. From that, we get new drug targets, and now we sell those new drug targets to pharmaceutical companies and biotech companies, and we use it ourselves as well for in-house drug discovery, which is focusing on antivirals. So that's what we do.
Is there a challenge in getting the trustworthy data, because the data that are available, publicly available data set can we trust all of them, or it doesn't matter for the machine learning algorithm?
So publicly available data sets, scientific literature, for example, facts say there are facts around it. So 70% of all published literature, this includes peer-reviewed papers, Nature papers, and so on, cannot be reproduced in a lab. And why? Again, many reasons, but one of the reasons is that we just lack information around how exactly those experiments were conducted. $28 billion every year in US. So all the problem is global, but if you just look at the US, is spent on experiments that will never be that you will never be able to reproduce. So if you start asking how trustful like how much you can trust the data that is coming directly from academic researchers, then I will shoot you back with the question, how much you can trust data that is coming from peer-reviewed, super fancy scientific journals. So you can't trust that either. So, but like how we collect this data, we have this structure and around it, which is everything is structured into protocols, and I would say that we also mine data from publicly available data sets. So that's like, it's not black and white in that sense. So we combine the raw data that comes from academic researchers and compare it with the data that is there from publicly available data sets. So in that sense, we use this to validate what is coming from academic researchers.
Do you have your own wet lab facility also to validate the target after that?
Yeah, we don't have our own lab just yet. But what we do is that we're working closely with the local University of Tartu, and they have antiviral drug discovery lab, very convenient for us. So once we get the platform up and running and get the drug targets out, then we will validate the data, validate the approach and AI and everything around it ourselves using wet lab experiments.
So why particularly antiviral drug discovery? So why this problem?
Several reasons. First of all, I think that's fact. It's not I think it, but that's fact again. It has huge unmet medical need. Like there are thousands of viruses that have potential to infect humans. We have, ice is melting on South Pole and North Pole, and there are so many viruses hiding there. The closer we go to the wildlife, cutting rainforests, and then so many animals have so many viruses that can infect humans. And if you look at the history of pandemics, like the last pandemic before COVID-19, and what was Spanish flu, and it also came from animals. So the threat is huge, yet we have less than 100 antivirals available, and like half of them are against HIV. So if you look at how many viruses have any antivirals, it's if I remember correctly now, it's 10 of viruses only have antivirals. So there's tremendous threat, yet so few so far until now. Really, pharmaceutical companies have kind of seen antivirals as a graveyard, which is like kind of like dangerous but not exactly dangerous. It sounds a little bit dodgy but not exactly dodgy, so people don't really know what to think about antivirals. But also then this current strategy, which is that pharmaceutical companies have tried to find antivirals, looking at the drug targets from the virus side themselves. But viruses, as we know very, very well, mutate super fast. So every 6 months we had like new COVID, or still have new COVID variant coming. And same with influenza, for example. Every year we're trying to predict which kind of variants are coming, and some years it's like something totally new. So the current strategy, which is focusing on viruses directly, has been really, really bad, really. And it's just pharmaceutical companies have just said like this is just too dodgy area to go into. But now with our approach, which is to focus on host cells instead. So instead, we're looking at the drug targets from human side, especially looking at the ion channels that the viruses use when they infect when they infect the cells, they hijack the whole machinery, and one of those really good drug targets are ion channels. So that approach haven't been really possible before, because everyone is so afraid of side effects, and also which protein to choose from. We have so many potential drug targets in our body, so like how to put these together. But now with AI obviously helping us out, and our amazing team and our approach and the scientific knowledge that we have, it is possible now. So if you combine all these, huge unmet medical need, market almost empty, and new strategy from scientific point of view, then there isn't any better market really.
Yeah, it's really big, I think. So you have algorithms, so this is the main core thing of your startup. So can it be applied in other problems, like not just only in the antiviral, but also in the antibacterial or the anti-cancerous? So is it possible?
Yeah, 100%. So the platform that we're developing is universal, that in terms of diseases. But what it focuses on is that, so we get this data around experiments and protocols from academic researchers and combine it with scientific literature. But what we focus at the moment on is more like techniques that these people are using. For example, especially focusing on molecular biology side. So if protein X, so let's say that I'm a researcher and I'm investigating protein X for Alzheimer, but and I'm doing like PCR and maybe mass spec, like experiments like that. But now another person comes and also is investigating protein X, but for I don't know, HIV. So it could be like totally different disease. So that's actually the beauty of it, like this cross-disciplinary approach. And they're using different methods. They're using antibodies, and they're doing immunoprecipitation, for example. But that's where we can start finding these connections and patterns in the data and saying that, oh, wait a minute, actually protein X is very interesting, for Alzheimer and for HIV, but there's a common link, and they share this one pathway that we can go and tackle. So our platform could be used finding drug targets for different diseases, but that's what we focus on, finding on the novel antivirals. But all other drug targets that are going to come out from the platform, that's the data we want to sell to pharmaceuticals and biotech companies, so they can take those amazing drug targets and make them into drugs which could help to save millions and millions of lives. It's not only about, obviously it's also about making money and business, but it's not only about that, but it's also like having this global impact and getting more drugs to patients.
In this last decade, the AI startups or the SaaS startups are being crowded. So are you afraid of the competitions, or do you afraid that somebody will copy your idea or take into the market very early than you? Or so what do you think about the challenges, and what are your strategies to fight against it?
Yeah, TechBio is a very TechBio company. We have technology and we have the bio part. TechBio is one of the hottest words really at the moment in AI field. Everyone has recognized the potential that AI can bring into drug discovery. there's no doubt, really. Like I don't think I have met a single person who is saying like this is very bad idea. People do argue around the impact, like how big the impact will be, and we still want to see, some real case scenarios where AI has come up with a drug target, or better, even better, drug target plus the molecule, have designed all the clinical trials, and now, here it is, the drug. So we don't really have any success stories like that, but also time has been so short. Usually it takes like 10 plus years. So now we're looking at that, past couple of years. So I also think it's unfair to ask that question. But basically, there's so many companies. I opened up one report, and it said that there are more than 450 startups in AI drug discovery field. But that actually is positive thing, because it shows the real potential, real market value. But I'm not afraid at all, because like how we think about it. So what makes Elnora super special is the way how we approach the data issue. So I know that there are some other amazing companies who have also obviously discovered the value that academic researchers are holding in terms of data. But there is so much to solve, that even if there are 400 plus companies doing using AI in drug discovery, there are plenty of work for everyone, and there are so many diseases. So no, I'm not afraid of competition. I actually cheer for others.
Yeah, some people also blame or say that the AI is just a hype. So is AI ready for the biological problem, or is it hype like people are saying?
Yes and no. So AI is only as good as its data and what you're putting it in. And now we're coming back to our solution, which is to fix the data issue. Yeah. So AI is kind of like black box. We don't really know what it is, how it is exactly working, or what's happening inside that AI's brain, so to speak. But what we do see, it's highly influenced by the data that goes into these algorithms and models. So we have to go back, fix the data issue, which we are doing with Elnora. Go back to academic researchers, get the true data from there without this human bias and all this bad things about scientific literature. And then I think we can start making really breakthrough discoveries. And drug discovery is a pipeline. There's so many different aspects to solve, finding these drug targets, find those drugs themselves, like the molecules, doing chemistry part with AI, and using AI to design the clinical trials, and so on. So I think we will see the breakthrough once it all comes together. So at the moment, there's a lot of hype and a lot of talks around it, but I believe this is true once we make it true, by fixing those little mistakes that there are there at the moment.
In this kind of business model, who are your customers?
Yes, so essentially we have users and customers. So users are academic researchers, mostly for this protocol optimizer product, and that's how we get the data. But then the customers we are B2B SaaS company in that sense that then we sell those data and the platform itself as well, but based on license for commercial use. And that goes to biotech and pharmaceutical companies. But there are actually there are many other revenue streams that we could explore with our product. So not, for example, totally different layer is also advertising. So when you look at the academic literature, then you as a researcher, when you're writing this text, you also have to write in where did you buy all these products from. So you say that this antibody is from X, and here's the catalog number. This antibody is from Y, and here's the catalog number. So actually, this is also advertising for those products, and that's highly very, very important in scientific community, like that. We all know that how hard it is to reproduce the paper. So you have best chances if you just copy paste everything that you can, from that paper. So you take exactly the same company and you order this exactly the same antibody. But guys, this is just ads and selling ads. So there's another possible revenue stream for that. Like you go into vendors and say, hi guys, like in our protocols we mention your product. So if that's the business case there, and so on. Like there's basically endless opportunities who could be our customers in the near future. But at the moment, we are focusing on pharmas and biotech companies.
What are the major challenges you are facing at the current stage of your company?
Team is our number one challenge. So me, my co-founder, and everyone in the C-suite, just exceptional people, really, like super smart, super hardworking. We share the vision, and it's just really, really good. But as soon as you go lower from the C-suite, like everyday people who do actual coding part and so on, then we struggle a little bit. And why we struggle is that there. It's very difficult to find a person who has PhD in drug discovery, PhD in computer sciences, is a super friendly person, can understand the vision and so on. So it's just these requirements for amazing team person. It's just like very, very hard to find those people. So what we want to do instead is just put them together. Then like take a person who is very good at programming, take a person who is super good in drug discovery and so on, and combine them. But so far we haven't really managed to put this kind of team work 100% yet. So team issues are the strongest struggle.
Are you also approaching the investors?
Yeah, definitely. We are doing a pre-seed round. So we already did an angel round where we raised 80K, and we also got some euros, and we also got some money from the government of Estonia, grant money and non-dilutive equity free. And now we're doing a pre-seed round. We're raising 2 million, and that's for three main things. One is, continue developing this platform to get this proprietary data from academic researchers. Second thing is increase our computing power. So at the moment, we're using credits that are coming from all sorts of startup programs. And then the third thing is obviously building, first of all, keeping the amazing talent that we have in our team, and then hiring more amazing talent in the future.
How is your experience of dealing with this investment thing? So is it easy or difficult for you to convince the investors, or maybe the people from the different field who doesn't understand the biotech stuff? So what is your experience?
Yeah, it is difficult. When I'm talking with totally random person, like totally normal person who doesn't know drug discovery, and then I describe these issues that we have in academic research or like scientific literature, or in how we have this enormous failure rate in drug discovery, which is kind of treated as a normal. Then people are like in shock. They're like, I can't really believe it. You must be lying. And then I have to start like biology 101 and why it's like that biology is so complicated, blah blah blah. So that's difficult. But also on the other hand, when I'm talking with investors who are like ex-scientists themselves, who have done postdoc in world's best university, and they're very, very experienced, then they're also extremely skeptical, which is fair enough, because they have spent, let's say, 15 years in academia, have seen how broken the system is, and then they're like, and you Carmen, think that you come and fix it? Like, it's impossible. Like, there's so many problems that that no one can ever fix that issue. So it's like both ways. So the best investors are investors who are in the middle. So they care about impact. They see the potential that AI has in drug discovery. They see the potential that our approach has in terms of data and fixing the data issue and getting negative results and so on. So they see all this potential, but they're not too corrupted by failures in academia. So they're not like too skeptical. So they still have this vision. So these investors are totally the best for us.
Okay. We are in the end, so let's talk a little bit about the future of AI startups or the tech bio startups. What do you think is the future of AI startup? I think the survival of fittest is going to be happen here, or maybe so many of them are going to die, and only a few will survive and can collaborate with the big pharma or like this. This is how they are going to survive. So, what do you think about the future?
Yeah, obviously there are a lot of players at the moment, and it's just, a lot of them gonna die. That's for sure. What is the most critical part? Yeah, is that how to really leverage AI in that sense that you can get something tangible out of it, like a really good drug target, a really good drug itself, a molecule, that is actually successful in clinical trials as well. So if you look at some amazing companies that were established like 10 years ago, and then there's a question that if you don't use any AI, just pure human mind, and that's it, then it takes about 10 to 15 years, okay, maybe more than 15, probably like 15 years to bring one drug from zero to market. And now you're saying like we're 10 years old, AI based company, and we have failed to bring any drugs to market. So then there's always the question like, okay, but where's the benefit of using AI then if it's just the same situation all over again? So in that sense, I think for those companies, it's going to be difficult. But if those companies can now really learn from their mistakes and focus on what is actually working and how to fix the data issue, for example, then they will be very successful. And big pharma itself, I don't see. If you look at the statistics, the big pharma really buys in the innovation and R&D processes. Like I can't tell you exact numbers because I don't know them, but maturity of new drugs that are coming to the market and are successful are not coming from big pharma directly. Like they are not the source, or they're not the company who discovered it. Usually it's some sort of like a small biotech company, emerging pharmaceutical company perhaps, that has done something amazing, super innovative, and then they buy this company and then they bring it to the market. So big pharma, I can't see big pharma doing everything by themselves alone. So that's not going to happen. But this AI first drug discovery companies have to change their strategy and adapt with the market, I would say. And that's our advantage because we're new in the market. We already are, we are already adapted in that sense.
Now we are in the end. So the question I would like to ask is, so for academicians, the academic researchers who is bored of the academic things, so what suggestion do you like to give him or her about how to shift the journey from academia to the industry, or how to create their own startup? So what kind of suggestion do you like to give? And also how to get new ideas for a startup?
Yeah. So if you're coming from academia, then I really suggest looking at what are the problems there, and there are many. Like all this publishing issue, not sharing negative results, or repeating experiments that are just failing, or spending so much money, or just digitalization. Like how many people are still using paper and pen to write down their experiment protocols and results? That's just tremendous. So just look around you, and you will see many ideas for a startup, what to do and how to break the industry basically. But then also, you really have to put all yourself in. I don't really believe in doing being in between. Like you're like with one leg, I'm an academic researcher. With another leg, I'm actually a startup founder. So what I did is that I quit academia totally, and that was very big step emotionally for me because that was my childhood dream that I kind of like had to change. So that's very big thing to do, but I think that's the only way. Just think what you want in life and how to achieve it. Put like a goal for yourself, and then you're like, okay, if staying in academia really like serves this goal or it doesn't serve. So if you want to quit and you want to do your own startup, just go and do it.
Dare to quit, right? Dare to quit.
But at the right time. So I'm not against academia. Like, if you want to become a professor, then never don't quit. Become a professor, then, which is very hard. But everything is hard in life. Being a founder isn't easy either.
Thank you, Carmen, for the wonderful conversation. Thank you.
You're welcome.